Hey everybody, it's David Pingree. Thanks for watching another edition of Dialed In here at Racer X. Today we've got the 2017 CRF450, and this is the first day I've really gotten to put some time on this thing. The introduction was back in Alabama and I couldn't make it, so I did a bunch of laps in this thing today and I love it. I love this thing. I'll just go ahead and say that right up front. Amazing bike. So there are some things that we found that Honda helped us with today to really get this thing squared away and working right. And let's jump into it. So starting with the suspension, they come at about 9 and 11 clicks out on the compression and rebound. And I will tell you that on the fork, I didn't touch it. I had no issues with the fork, the way it worked. Occasionally they said some guys would feel like it was diving a little too deep, and so they would drop the tubes down in the clamps. It's 5 mil up right now, so they were dropping them 2 mils, and that made a huge difference in finding the right balance. I kind of went the other direction and I got the back end to squat a little bit more because I did have a little bit of a stink bug feel initially. So from the stock settings back here on the shock, which are again 9 and 11, I went out a quarter of a turn on the high speed compression and 2 clicks out on the low speed compression. And that got me to just squat enough to where I got a really nice balance. It was pretty hard packed today and really only one downhill and it's kind of flat, wasn't super bumpy. I think if you get steeper downhills or deeper dirt, you're gonna feel that front end dive a little more. And I think that's gonna be a really good fix for the balance. Because you start going in on compression, you're gonna get a harsh feel. So if you can fix it by just dropping the forks down and the clamps a little bit, I think that's the way to go. And the Honda guys were agreeing with me that that was the right direction. As far as the shock go, like I said, I made that one change and that was it. Sag at 105 mil. I initially said maybe I wanted to add a little more sag to get that back into squat. They pushed me to go to the high-speed compression adjuster. They didn't want me going too far off of that as sag. So listen to what Honda has to say, try to stick it right around 105. And again, continue to check it because with any bike, if you get it new, you know, it's just like tire pressure. You got to check it every time you go for a little while until it gets really good and worn in. So that was it on suspension. Past that, I didn't change anything. I found it to work really well. The spring fork has a great feel. Just falls right into ruts and berms. No sticky spots. None of the initial harshness of an air fork. I love it. So happy with it. Again, our track today more hard pack and choppy. Not a lot of big bumps. So you might have to work with it. You know, if you get something like that, you might need to make some adjustments, but this was a really good setting for me today out here. As far as the engine goes, we went through all the maps and obviously the soft map, which is for slippery conditions, I didn't care for today. There was enough traction that it wasn't necessary. If it's very dry, hard slick, or slimy muddy, I would use it. I would try it. I think it could definitely be an asset. Typically on these, I do not like the aggressive maps. It hits too hard and I end up making more mistakes. But I liked it on this one. And I think part of the reason I did was because this comes stock with a 49 tooth sprocket and I was finding myself between gears a lot. I would come into a turn thinking it was second and I'm in first. So we went back, I actually changed to a 50 tooth sprocket, which I thought was 1,000 times better. And again, depending on the conditions you're riding in, maybe you like the way it is, but for me today, and I think that no matter where I would ride, I would like a 50 tooth better. And then I could go back and forth between the standard map and the aggressive map. And it was a subtle difference. You could definitely feel a little bit quicker pickup on the aggressive map, but it wasn't so much so that I was wheeling out of turns, making a bunch of mistakes. I think I would just base it on track conditions. If it's a little bit more hard base and slick, I'd go to the standard map. And if I had better traction, I'd go to the aggressive map. I thought it was probably the most useful 2 map settings I've ever seen. Usually there's a very big difference between the two. It was a subtle difference, but noticeable, but either one was usable just at a different location. So I really was stoked on that, and I would definitely recommend 1 tooth higher in the back. I know that sounds a little orange helmet, but that's just what I found today. A couple other things. Seat height on this bike, it's 5 millimeters taller here. Pegs are 5 millimeters further back than before and seats 5 mil higher. I did notice occasionally I would get kind of popped in the butt with the seat here. So for me, the easiest fix is to either shave a little bit off the seat if you've got someone that can help you do that, or you can try lowering the subframe. There's some different ways you can try doing that, but then you get into pipe fitment issues and things. So the seat's the easiest way to do it if you can. And literally we used to just take a turkey knife and, you know, try to shave an even amount off the whole thing and lower it. That's you know, short leg problems, but something to consider. If you feel like you keep getting hit with the seat, might be something to consider. Other than that, I love the engine. Tons of power, usable, just a really, really great engine package. I did move the map adjuster here. It's posted up right next to the grip, and it has kind of a sharp edge that sticks into the grip, and it'll tear your thumb up first ride. So I just moved it on the other side of the clutch perch, problem solved. Really no other issues. Tires at 12 PSI, and we ran the thing. So again, just if you can address some of those main issues with the gearing, moving this thing, and then the fork height to find a balance. I think balance is really key on this bike. If you're riding around with the back end too tall, you're gonna have issues with the front end feeling nervous and heavy. Find a nice balance, and like I said, you can do that with either dropping these things down, opening up the high-speed compression on the rear, half a turn, quarter turn. And another real cheap, easy fix is just adding some oil to the forks. That typically has a more of effect deeper in the stroke, but it's a cheap, easy fix you could do at home probably with a spring fork. So without having to go into getting revalved, resprung, anything like that. Overall, I love this bike. It's these guys did a great job. Probably the easiest 450 I've ever ridden. I mean, you get on it and it does a lot of the work for you. Really, really great bike. I think you hit some of the things we've talked about in setup, and you will love this motorcycle. Not gonna have any problems with it. So enjoy your 2017 Honda. Thanks for watching.